So up until this point, we did an EVAP test and found that it has a vacuum leak on it, so we weren't able to get sufficient vacuum. So then we did a smoke test on it and went through and opened and closed the vent to atmosphere and could not find any leaks throughout the EVAP system. So now we're going to go verify the fuel tank pressure sensor by closing the vent to atmosphere and closing the purge valve and see if it holds a vacuum.
Alright, so we're in the trunk of the Buick here, and we have the fuel tank pressure sensor back probe and hooked up to the voltmeter here, so we can monitor the voltage of that sensor without having to look at the PID on the scan tool. So this will just help us keep an eye on that voltage while we're doing other things with the scan tool, such as commanding these valves open and shut. We're hooked up, and what we've done here is there's a port on top of this fuel pump and fuel filter assembly here that had a vacuum cap on it. So we pulled that off and we attached our smoke machine here to that, but we're using the air supply of it. And then the reason we decided to use the air from this machine rather than shop air is because this air operates at a much lower pressure, so there's no risk of damaging components inside of that fuel system by pushing up too much air through it. So now we're gonna have Ryan push the air through the system, and you can see that voltage of that fuel tank pressure sensor drop down, and if you were to release it, it's gonna raise back up. And we're just putting a very slight amount of pressure through the system to verify that that fuel tank pressure sensor will change with an increase or decrease in pressure in the fuel tank. Isolated from the EVAP system, but we left it hooked up electrically to the PCM so we can control it with the scan tool. You can see here, we're going to use the smoke tester to show the operation of this. So Ryan's going to run this now, and we can see there's nothing coming out of the outlet. And as he cycles that, you can see a little bit come out because he's only opening it a little bit. And then as it increases, you can hear that smooth out and blow consistent smoke through that valve. And then it can go back down and shut it off. You can hear it limiting that flow, and then eventually it'll be all the way sealed again once we get back down to zero. Alright, we got the canister vent valve pulled off of this Buick here, so what we're going to do is show how it operates when you jump voltage to it. And then we're going to pump some smoke through it here. You can see the normal operation of it. So this is in its natural state with no power going to this. And then if we jump power to this, you can see, well, the smoke's going to come out the back because we don't have a tight seal. But here in the vent, you can see there's no smoke coming out of there. And then if we remove that,
that would go to the fuel tank. All of a sudden, I have 20-inch pounds of vacuum because that canister was fine. Okay, so then I put the inlet to fuel tank back on.
Alright, we're here on the Buick, and we're just going to look for an intake manifold leak. We got the smoke machine hooked up here. We're going to pump some smoke and see where it comes out at. As you can see here, this might categorize as a gross leak. If we go inside here, it's kind of dark, but you guys can see the smoke coming out. There's little wisps from time to time. Oh, this crack extends over this direction too, as you can see the smoke pouring out there. As you can see from this piece of shrapnel here, there's a hidden bolt inside this intake, and really this is a blessing in disguise because now you can access that bolt with no issue whatsoever. I mean, you can get a ratchet in there, you can get a wrench in there. That hidden bolt's not so hidden anymore. This is really going to be great.